They constantly have to live up to this, vague idea of what an ultimate driving machine is. Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show on cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm here with my good friend Glenn Packman, car enthusiast, improv comedian, Fairfield County resident, and real estate appraiser. So although he's not wearing a hat now, he has many.
True.
True.
Many
All right.
hats.
Many, many hats. All
Yeah.
right. So, Glenn, what I wanted to talk to you about this week was a, a, a storied model and brand.
Mm.
And the BMW 3 Series.
Mm.
So, a little bit of history. It's been around since 1975. It
Mm.
replaced the 2002, uh,
Mm.
which was a classic in and of its own. By the way, it is the car that Jack Lemmon's character drives. The 2002 is the car Jack Lemmon's character drives in the China Syndrome. 1975, same era as the Honda Accord and still going strong. So they are introducing a new i3, which is indicative of their new 3 Series big picture.
Right.
It's the Neue Klasse, um,
Mm.
and it is a whole new design language. It's I think one of the first times that they're bringing out a new design language in the 3 Series.
Yeah.
They've previously, gone worked their way down. Um, but it's a fascinating car. I mean,
Mm.
it has it's one of those cars that imbues or that abuse is not the right word. That brings with it a lot of emotion
Mm-hmm.
to the people who are watching the people drive it. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I totally get it. Yeah.
Um, so what in big picture, uh,
Mhm.
what do you think of the 3 Series?
Well, it it's a benchmark vehicle in so many ways. It was really uh, I think what they stumbled on with the 2002 was it's a sedan, it's meant to seat four people. It was boxy and upright, but they found that, wait a minute, this thing handles really nicely. It was light on its feet and sprightly and all of a sudden the critics were going, I love driving this car. What the
Yeah.
heck, you know? And I think that cracked open something in regards to the sport luxury sedan. You know, I think the three is the first car that really embraced the sporting aspect of a
One of
luxury
them,
sedan.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
they did it beautifully, you know. Never mind the fact that they always did it in a package that appealed to people. I
Mhm.
mean, every single generation has a high level of class to it. Some more than, are more of my favorites than others, but they were always good-looking cars. And they
Yeah,
were always unmistakably a 3 Series. You know, driving
yeah.
down the road, you were like, if you know anything about cars, that's a 3 Series right there.
Hmm.
So much
Yeah,
so that I think they actually made the 5 Series look an awful lot like a big 3 Series
yeah,
intentionally, you know.
yeah,
And why not? It's a beautiful car. But more than that, it was just, they embraced the whole idea, and maybe they even coined the phrase driver's car. I don't know. But that's what they are. They're
hmm,
it's funny because let's talk about another popular brand from the sedan market, the Honda Accord
yep,
or even the Toyota Camry. Sort of the opposite of those cars. All three very good cars. The
right,
Honda and the Toyota are really designed for people who want to get in their car and not think about it so much. They
yep,
just want it to operate flawlessly and be comfortable and everything. And then there's the BMW for the people that want to get in their car that they still might have to have a baby seat in the back, but they still know they could drive the snots out of this thing if they want to.
yeah.
And that's the 3 Series, you know.
Mhm.
So it's another one of my class of what I will call the chariots of the dads that I've referred to in the past, you know. But then, but then the car clicked with women buyers too. I mean,
Right.
and why not? It's smart and it, you know, very classy looking, and it just, you know, so it was a huge win for BMW, and it really helped, I think, crystallize what the company is all about. They will they will be forever going forward the company that makes drivers cars. And
Mhm.
that's important. It's a brand identity and good on
Yeah.
them.
And I think it's one of those things that the universe uh, gets comes together at the right time. So you have,
Right.
the late 70s, they established the car, they established that model, and then all of a sudden the go-go 80s are there, and now people want, they want more than a Japanese car, which doesn't have that panache, doesn't have that sportiness, doesn't have that luxury. They want something
Right.
more than an American car, which is this big hunk of ugly iron. Not all of them,
Right.
but enough of them. And
Right.
and it has some, it has the handling and the acceleration to back that up. And
Yeah.
now tend to think that both the best and the worst thing about BMWs is, they're the ultimate driving machine. I think it's the best thing because it establishes a line in the sand. It says this is where we are,
Right.
and forevermore, even though they don't use that anymore, that is how they are defined. The bad side
Sure.
is it establishes a line in the sand, and that's how they're defined. And any car that doesn't
Right.
meet that,
Yeah.
steering wise, or oh, the new 3 Series, X, Y, and Z. Um,
Right.
I think is, they constantly have to live up to this, vague idea of what an ultimate driving machine is, which isn't always what, the current car, and then you're dealing with the memory of whatever previous model was there, right?
Right. Right. Yeah,
You know,
it's funny. I will always speak well of this brand, although the one that I have owned personally, I was not overwhelmed with. So,
yeah, uh,
I for those of you on our viewing audience, I had a BMW X1 for a number of years, and it was a superior car on so many levels. I don't think we'll ever own a better power plant than what was in that car. It was
mhm.
just, it was small and as powerful as a box of dynamite. It was just smooth and flawless. The transmission was just to die for. Mechanically, the car, you know, the engine, the power plant was absolutely beautiful.
I think one of the things about it from a style, and I've been trying to remember. I feel like I drove one once, but I can't tell you which it was. And I didn't drive
Mhm.
I probably moved around a parking lot, and that's probably it. Um, I just never had the opportunity. Uh, it's first off, it's their bread and butter car. It's the car that they
Yeah, yeah.
just sell and sell and sell. Um, it's it's never looked weird. I mean, you can go to the 5 or the 7 series, and they had the bangle butt and all the different weird
Mhm.
design stuff, and it
Mhm.
sort of washed over the 3 series, but never really,
Yeah,
there's no 3 series that's ugly, right?
right.
There's no 3 series, and thank God, because like I thought that, that fourth generation 5 series, the E39, was one of the
Mhm.
most handsome cars on the planet. That kind of, late 90s, just really clean design. I mean, that's I think what both of us prefer, is that
Yeah,
very clean design.
yeah,
But you all the and here's something that BMW does phenomenally, I think more than any other car maker, is that it's a BMW. You always know it's a
right,
BMW.
right, right,
Even this new one, it's a BMW.
right,
Yep, we
right.
got that.
Give
Yeah.
I give Jeep the same sort of props because you always know a Jeep.
Yep.
And a lot of it has to just do with front end treatment because
Yeah.
they've married that look and they're going to stick with it and because it
Right.
works.
Right. As
I'm curious what,
as our
but
friend Jeff says, the going the down the road graphic. That's the front
yes,
end. The fancy
right,
way to say the
exactly.
front end.
Yeah, exactly. What
Yeah.
what was your favorite generation? Because I think there
Um,
are
I
seven or
I
eight
have
gen.
one. I have one, but I'm going to wait until after the break.
Oh,
Until-
okay. All right.
Okay. We'll
Okay.
be back after this. We're back. We took a moment to talk about heated rivalry, one of my favorite subjects, but we're back
Mm,
now. Your question to me was, what
mhm,
is my favorite model, my favorite generation of um, uh, 3 Series, and I'm going to say the E30 or the E46. Um, I think that the later ones get, they're bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is, then uh, that role in the hierarchy
mhm,
is now taken by the 2 Series. um and but I just like, I like the line of it. I like the beef of it. It's a car
mhm.
that looks the part, right? um
Right.
and And I think the other piece, well, you tell me what you think is your favorite.
Well, I've got two. When I think classic BMW, I also go to the E30, which is the second generation. It was boxy without being too boxy. I mean, it never
Hmm.
read Volvo level of boxy, but it was definitely a boxy car. Um, 1982, I think, was the intro year. Um, I don't think there is a car out there that defined the yuppie driver better than that car. It was it had a little bit of an economy car hint to it, but only in that it was still practical and was still kind of upright, but it was the car that a young professional wearing a suit could get into and look exactly right, you know.
Yep.
And that was at that point in time, I would have been 20 years old, and that impressed the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the car that I wanted back then, and I couldn't afford.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just couldn't afford one. But it was smart and sharp and fast and sprightly and quick and not big and athletic and driven by a class of people that I was not part of. So I will always be enamored with this car. It's a sharp little car. Also,
Yeah.
just worth saying, my dad had a 2002. He
Really?
sort of, yeah, it's a long story, but it ended up getting sort of bequeathed to him because of business dealings that he had. Somebody owed him some money and didn't have it. So he got left this car. Bright navel orange, not naval like navy,
Oh,
but like
yeah. Yeah. No,
orange
I know the
grove
color.
orange.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
talking not just orange, we're talking orange, that color orange. Okay. It was bright orange. But even then, and frankly, I thought it was a homely little car back then, and it kind of
Yeah.
was. It looked like a big orange toaster on wheels. But it was the first car that I ever actually drove
Yeah.
as a young person, just like, all right, we're going to take the car around the block. So it's an indelible part of my history, and I could even sense back then how light this car was, and
Yeah.
just I knew I hadn't even driven our family station wagon, and I knew I never wanted to because I'd driven the 2002 first.
Right. Right.
It ruined me because I'm like, because now I sit in a car with mushy steering and I'm like, nope,
Right.
it's got mushy
Yeah.
steering,
Well,
forget it.
but that's you're that kind of person. It's 1983. You're going into a showroom. What are your options? I mean, there's no.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a Ford Thunderbird, but that brings with a whole other. side of beef, and
Yeah.
a Mustang, which is not really, and
Right.
and
Right.
Mercedes isn't making a small car at that point. They're
Right.
close to it. And what else are your options? I mean,
Right. Right.
the Volkswagens are not the higher end. And then here's this car that's small, that's
Hmm.
probably closer price wise to what you want. It has this cachet of the ultimate driving machine. It's got this,
Hmm.
aura about it, and
Right.
sells a lot. Here's the interesting thing about sales is that it sells a lot better in other countries around the world than it does in the US. Like
Right.
region wise, you know, uh, China, um, Europe, sales are way ahead of what they sell in the US.
Sure.
I
Sure.
found that
Well,
interesting.
I have relatives in Germany, and the BMW 3 Series is almost a basic car over there.
Yeah, yeah,
It's made in Germany, and it's what Germans expect from a vehicle.
right.
So, and Lord, has there ever been a German person who has expected a lot engineering wise from anything? Never. No.
Oh, no, no.
Half German on my mom's side. Totally. Yeah.
It's like an Italian not wanting a car with verve and excitement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that never happens either. What?
Oh,
Yeah. Or the French driving a car that looks like some sort of weird artwork. No, sorry. That's a joke. That's just a joke. No hateful remarks in the comments, please. But there have been some weird looking French cars, people, let's be honest.
yes, you
Either
can't
way,
get
I
around.
digress. It's almost, it's a domestic vehicle in Germany.
Yeah,
So that's saying a lot. It does say a lot to their level of
yeah.
expectations. So why not?
We're going to take a quick break and come back, and we're going to talk about what the M3, what the BMW 3 Series led to, begat, as it were. All right, we're back. We're talking about the BMW. We're talking about the BMW 3 Series. What?
Sorry. I was just now I remember what we were talking about. So
Okay. All
uh,
right.
we were talking about the yuppie representation
Okay.
of
All
the
right.
the 3 Series. So
Okay.
all right.
Did you
I wanted
say
to add
everything you
something.
wanted? Okay,
No, I
go
wanted
right
to
ahead.
add something. So all right.
Go
The
ahead.
one thing that should I do it now or after the break?
Do it now. Do it now.
Okay.
Because
All right.
we don't need a break, but we're go. You can
Oh,
go.
okay. All right. So, and you can edit this in somewhere, but so one thing I do want to bring up about the BMW and that representation of the early 80s success feel. Um, Back in 1980-ish, I think her name was Lisa Birnbaum, wrote a book called The Preppy Handbook. And for those of you who don't know, preppy comes from the movie Love Story. It was coined by Ali McGraw, and she fell in love with Ryan O'Neal, and she called him preppy because he went to a prep school. The whole preppy thing became a real thing in the early 80s, for those of you who don't remember. The idea behind a preppy was it was somebody who was of money, wore their collar turned up, had an early country club living, wore golf attire a lot. It was a whole very uh, elite kind of thing about it. The most interesting part for me in the Preppy Handbook was she talks about preppy cars. And of course, the BMW 3 Series was the very first one I think she mentions in there. What I was going to bring up was we were talking about what was there to get into. The Preppy Handbook called the Volkswagen Rabbit a preppy icon because it was a case of reverse snobbery. It
Yeah.
was that it was as good as these cars, but half the price. And it's very true in that it was.
Yeah.
It was an excellent car. It had that handling, it had that lightness and everything, but it was also geared towards a different economic class. But the preppy community loved this car because they knew the value that they were getting in it. So worth
Yeah.
mentioning.
It's
Yeah.
it's Lisa Birnbach.
Lisa Birnbach,
He,
thank you.
right.
Thank with
Yeah.
my apologies to Lisa. So
It's actually
when I was at the
she edited it and it was written by some other folks. But
oh, okay.
just
Gotcha.
because I looked that up right now.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. When I was at Ithaca
um,
College in the very early 80s, she came and gave a talk on the Preppy Handbook. So
huh,
very
yeah.
interesting stuff. Yeah.
And a little bit of our history is that I went to one of your shows of comedy sports at
Mhm.
a school up in Litchfield County, and I went with our friend Tim and
Uh-huh.
uh, drove his father's Prelude, and you
Mhm.
kept introducing me as my preppy friend Doug, my yuppie friend Doug. That's what you kept. My yuppie friend
Ah,
Doug. This is my yuppie friend Doug.
well, you were definitely upwardly mobile. So
I had it.
yeah.
So what we're going to talk about next is uh, what the 3 Series was father to, as it were. And I think the first and foremost is the M series. Now, it isn't the first M car, but it is kind of the first of what became their higher brand. So the M3, and how that all comes about, and the things that they did. They made it wider. They put a cap on the back window to create different aerodynamics of the car. The trunk
Mhm.
itself is higher. It's a really interesting dynamic what they, and then that leads to a whole bunch of other cars in
Mhm.
BMW, and
Right.
where that they can charge more money for, and that's a good thing, right? Um,
Right.
so I've lost the plot. I think it also I think it also is one of the things that's about, like, it creates it creates the kind of the base where everything in BMW works off of that. Now, they had larger cars. They used to call it here the BMW Bavaria, which eventually became the 5 Series. And I think it kind of became the thing that um, that people then, the 3 Series owners, could aspire to, the five, right? A little bit bigger, yada yada yada. It also begat the 4 Series, which is the kind of the coupe kind of looking. Uh, so it leads to a whole bunch of other things. I mean, I don't think BMW would be BMW with if it hadn't had this iconic set of cars.
Right, right, absolutely. And good on BMW for making the M series not just a couple of stripes and a little badge that says M series on it, you know.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
just a trim level. It's
No, absolutely not.
yeah, it's something way, way, way deeper than that. So good on them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that my second place favorite was the sixth generation, the F30 slash 31 slash 34 slash 35. Um, specifically that there was not only a sedan but a very sharp wagon version of
Yes, the
that
wagons.
generation.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
first time that
yeah.
they'd sort of um, the sort of cat's eye headlight
Yeah,
display
yeah.
was used very well. And another very sharp lineup. All of them
Yes.
were sharp. The little wagon was really they didn't sell a ton of them, but boy, that was, and I know how much you
Uh,
love a good station wagon, so
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There BMW station wagon's always on my list.
yeah, always, absolutely.
I've got things booping and beeping here, which probably tells me that it's time for us to land the plane. Remember that you
Mhm.
can watch episodes of Car-Pinionated on YouTube, and enjoy us there. Jeff will be back. He is off. gallivanting.
Mm.
But he will
Man
return.
knows how to gallivant. Yeah.
He certainly does.
Yeah.
All right. So we will see you next time.